Timeline of development and structure of the modern law enforcement. 5000 BC Egypt. The first evidence of policing organization dates to 5000 BC in Egypt, where it was divided into 42 jurisdictions, each overseen by an official appointed by the pharaoh. The official's role was to maintain security and justice within his jurisdiction. The official then had a chief of police whose title was Sabhari Sakur. The Sabhari Sakur had a group of men who collect taxes and had other duties. (3000 BC Greece). In 3000 BC, Greece employed officials who represented authority and had the power to enforce compliance with the law. The magistrate of ancient Greece were assigned policing duties similar to those of modern police. They relied on the military to assist in their performance. The military, however, saw itself as external security. Because of this, the magistrate had to rely heavily on state-owned slaves. The slaves, called rod-bearers, guarded public meetings to maintain order and crown control, and also assisted in dealing with criminals, handling prisoners, and making arrests. The rest of the policing duties were left to the citizens of Greece. 500 BC Greece. Greece in 500 BC was strong and prosperous. Pisistratus, ruler of Athens between 605 and 527 BC, established a guard system akin to a police force. They manned watchtowers, protected people and goods traveling on the highways. They also maintained order, ensuring hygiene, protecting morals, did surveillance of foreigners and the marketplace, etc. Pisistratus is called the father of policing by some because his guard system closely resembles the duties of modern law enforcement. 27 BC Rome. In 27 BC, Augustus Caesar helped create the urban cohorts. They ensured peace in the city. Later, Caesar instituted the vigils in response to a rise in crime. They had the power to arrest people, fight crime, and fight fires. They are very similar to the police today. The urban cohorts spread quickly to other cities, where new cohorts were established. Cohorts were also established for watchtowers throughout Roman cities. Rome was policed day and night from the 6th century BC to the 12th century. England before the 12th century. Before the 12th century, policing in England was community-based and poorly organized. People were appointed constables. Their job was to lead the hue and cry. The hue and cry could be started by anyone. It meant that when a person cried for help, all able-bodied men had to join the group to pursue the offender. These groups were led by the sheriff, the leader of the county, or constabuli. There were not many constabuli in a county, therefore they relied heavily on their ability to organize a hue and cry. 12th century England. In 1285, British police policy and practices were confided in the Statute of Winchester. It had 4 main statutes. Quote, 1. Specified the creation of watch and the ward in cities and towns. 2. Maintained the draft of eligible males to serve those forces. 3. Institutionalized the use of the hue and cry, making citizens who disregarded a call for help subject to criminal penalties. And 4. Required that citizens maintain weapons in their home for answering the call to arms. Unquote. Schmalger 2003. 1600 to 1700 New York. In New York during the 1600s through 1700s, in 1858 they paid watchmen to replace drafted men. In 1893, New York employed the first uniformed officers, and in 1731 the first station precinct was established. Boston, New Orleans, and Cincinnati followed suit with New York in the early 19th century. 1702 American colonies and pre-Civil War. The American colonies and the southern states before the Civil War had slave patrols. The slave patrols were made of white men who enforced the slave codes. These men were in charge of capturing runaway slaves, putting down or preventing slave rebellions, enforcing laws, etc. Slave patrols also made sure that the owners were following slave codes, otherwise they could be punished. The slave patrols are sometimes seen as the beginning of modern American law enforcement. 1749 London, England. In 1749, Henry Fielding, the Magistrate of London, formed the Bow Street Runners. They were formed in response to a crime crisis. Quote, the early 18th century saw the emergence of a large criminal organization in London led by Jonathan Wild. Wild ran a type of fencing operation built around a group of loosely organized robbers, thieves, and burglars, who would turn their plunder over to him. Wild would then negotiate with the legitimate owners for a ransom for their possessions. Unquote. Schmalger, 2003. The Bow Street Runners were paid by the government, trained for their duties, and served full time. This was unlike older police forces, which were usually privately funded, didn't serve full time, and might not have been trained. The Bow Street Runners helped establish the groundworks for a formal policing structure by pursuing criminals, monitoring the streets, conducting investigations, and collecting evidence as police do today. 1829 England. In 1829, Sir Robert Peel founded the Metropolitan Police. The Metropolitan Police is often regarded as the first modern police force. When the Met was first founded, Peel hired 1,000 men to his liking. The officers, called bobbies, had two founding principles. They believed that crime could be deterred and that crime could be prevented through patrolling. Quote, Peel's police patrolled the streets by walking beats. Their predecessors, the watchmen, had occupied fixed posts throughout the city, awaiting a public outcry. The new police were uniformed, resembling a military organization, and adopted a military administrative style. Unquote. Schmalger, 2003. 1800s United States. In 1830, Stephen Girard donated a substantial sum to the city of Philadelphia to establish a police force. The city hired 144 men. 120 were assigned to the night watch and 20 to the day watch. In 1844, the city of New York combined both its night and day watch into the NYPD. Boston in 1855 followed New York's example. The police structure was modeled after the British police force established by Sir Robert Peel. FBI 1908. In 1908, the FBI, then called the Bureau of Investigation, was founded by Attorney General Charles Joseph Bonaparte, acting on orders from President Theodore Roosevelt. The need for an FBI, or National Law Enforcement Agency, arose from issues such as the Department of Justice borrowing agents from the Secret Service to investigate, and rising crime rates. The criminals would cross state lines to escape local police, which also led the need for a national police.